When you hear the word
The Viking
Viking,
longship,
you
a
see the
symbol of
helmet,
exploration and
the
conquest.
horns on it
Yet,
that were never
this
actually
stereotype only
there.
scratches the
You see
surface
the
of their rich and
berserker,
complex
the
society.
longship emerging from fog, the village burning, the monk running. That image is real, but it is also approximately 10% of the story. The other 90% is the part nobody taught you. The part that makes the Vikings one of the most complex, sophisticated, and genuinely remarkable civilizations of the medieval world. The Vikings were farmers first. This is where every misconception begins. When most people imagine Viking society, they imagine a permanent state of raid and war. The reality is that the vast majority of people who lived in Scandinavia between roughly 793 and 1100 CE never went on a single raid. They farmed, they fished, they raised animals, they traded with their neighbors. The longship was real, but most Norsemen never sailed one. The raids were conducted by a relatively small subset of the population, often younger sons who would not inherit land under the inheritance customs of the time, men seeking fortune, status, and the kind of reputation that could not be earned behind a plow. Adventurers operating in tight, disciplined crews under chosen leaders. For most Scandinavians, the Viking Age was not a permanent state of war. It was a distant event that happened to other people in other places, that occasionally brought silver, slaves, and exotic goods back to the home farm. The farmer stayed home, the adventurer went raiding. They were not the same person. Norse society was, by the standards of the medieval world, remarkably egalitarian. The thing was called the Thing. The Thing, Ting in Old Norse, was a formal assembly, a democratic institution that predates most of medieval Europe's attempts at governance by centuries. Free men gathered at a designated outdoor site, usually annually. Disputes were heard before the community. Laws were recited from memory in their entirety by the law speaker, a trained specialist who carried the legal code in his head and could recite it on demand. Decisions were made collectively by the assembled free men. Every free adult man had a voice and a vote. Even thralls, slaves, had legal protections under Norse law that had no equivalent in much of the contemporary world. The Thing was not perfect. It excluded women and thralls from full participation. But in the context of 9th century Europe, it was extraordinary. Norse women in Norse society had rights that their contemporaries in England, France, or the Byzantine Empire did not. A Norse woman could own property. She could inherit. She could initiate divorce, and she did not need a reason beyond her own desire. She ran a farm independently while her husband was away. She managed finances, negotiated trade, held social authority in the community. The keys hanging from her belt were not decoration, they were the literal symbol of her household authority. She locked and unlocked the wealth. She controlled the stores. In a world where most women were legal property themselves, the Norse woman was a legal person with enforceable rights. The Vikings were obsessive traders. The raid is the dramatic headline. The trade is the economic reality that sustained Norse civilization. Norse merchants traveled routes that connected Scandinavia to the British Isles, France, the Mediterranean, the Byzantine Empire, the Islamic Caliphate, and the depths of Russia. The Varangian route, the river network through modern Russia and Ukraine, was one of the most significant trade arteries of the medieval world. Norse traders carried furs, amber, walrus ivory, and enslaved people southward. They returned with silver dirhams from the Islamic world, silk from Byzantium, wine from the Mediterranean, spices from routes that touched the edges of Asia. Silver hoards found across Scandinavia contain coins from dozens of different civilizations: Arabic dirhams, Byzantine solidi, Frankish denarii, Anglo-Saxon pennies, all found together in the same hoards on Norse farms. These were not raiders collecting trophies as souvenirs. These were merchants operating within a sophisticated, continent-spanning international economy. Norse traders knew exchange rates, they knew quality, they knew markets. They carried scales and tested silver purity on the road. This was professional commerce. The Vikings were also remarkable navigators and explorers. Without compass, without charts, without GPS, using the stars, the sun's position on the horizon at specific times of day, the behavior of birds, the color of the water, and accumulated navigational knowledge passed between generations through oral tradition, Norse sailors crossed the open Atlantic. They reached Iceland. They colonized it. They reached Greenland. They colonized it. They reached North America, Vinland, 500 years before Columbus. The Ants Lost Meadows site in Newfoundland is the archaeological proof, confirmed and undisputed. A Norse settlement on American soil, built around 1000 CE. To cross the North Atlantic in an open wooden ship with no navigation instruments beyond the sky and the sea, that is not barbarism. That is one of the greatest feats of seamanship in human history. The Vikings were also artists and craftsmen of extraordinary skill. The longship itself is a masterpiece of engineering, clinker-built with overlapping planks that flex rather than crack, shallow enough to navigate rivers, seaworthy enough to cross oceans, light enough to be carried across land between waterways. It is, by any measure, one of the most sophisticated vessels ever built by any civilization at any point in history. Their metalwork was intricate and technically demanding. Their wood carving was complex and deeply symbolic. Their jewelry, twisted silver torques, intricate brooches, gold filigree, showed an aesthetic sophistication that contradicts every stereotype. The sagas they produced are among the finest literature of the medieval world. The Icelandic sagas, written in the 12th and 13th centuries, are complex narratives of honor, fate, family conflict, and moral ambiguity. They have protagonists who are neither heroes nor villains. They contain what modern readers recognize as psychological depth. They are literature, not oral folklore retold, literature, written down, preserved, studied, still read. The Vikings were also the founders of cities. Dublin was a Norse foundation. Kiev owes its early development to the Varangian Norse. Normandy, the region that would eventually produce the Norman conquest of England, was settled by Norse Vikings who became so thoroughly assimilated into French culture that within 2 generations they had adopted the French language and then used it to conquer England in 1066. The Viking Age didn't end because the Vikings were conquered or culturally erased. It ended because Norse civilization integrated so thoroughly into the emerging Christian European world that it became indistinguishable from it. The Norse converted to Christianity, not by force mostly, but by choice and contact. They adopted Latin writing. They built...
If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and subscribe to the channel for more hidden stories from history. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.